Hey, it's Tom. I've mentioned previously that Tesla is working on a Robotaxi network to better utilise cars by potentially fivefold in the future. So in this video, I'll show you some of the workings that I've been doing on what the possibility could be for those of you that actually own a Tesla car, and if you were to put it into the Robotaxi network that Tesla are ultimately aiming for. Let's dive in and bring up some models, which we can play about with the variables and see what difference it makes. So first up, let's run down how I've built this, how I've structured it and the logic behind it. The first variable is how many hours of the day the car will be part of the network. So in this first example, I've set this to 20 hours, which is 20 hours of driving around and 4 hours of charging. The next input is how many miles per hour the vehicle will do on average. This is quite hard to get a grasp of, as it really depends on the area that you're operating. If it's a mix of highway or motorway driving and then city or urban, then it could be less than the 30 that I've put in. So I have a scenario later on which we can look at. Below are two lines which are just calculations. How many miles the car will travel a day, and then how many is that in a year. The next input is the utilisation of the vehicle. And what I mean by that is, when it's doing those miles, how many of them will be with a paying customer in the car. I've put this in at 60%, as in quiet periods the car can park up or return home, and this also includes driving between jobs between collecting customers. This then gives us the next calculation, which is the miles which will be charged. I've then said that over the first few years the cost per mile will be 50 cents a mile to the customer. This is below the amount it would cost for me and you to buy and run our own personal cars. ARK Invest have done some research that suggests, on average, it costs us around 70 to 80 cents per mile if you consider the wear and tear, fuel and the tyre costs basically. Within this model, I've built it to show that Tesla will take a 30% of the revenue as a platform fee from anybody that opts to use their vehicle in the Robotaxi network. The reason why I've put in 30% is that Apple charges somewhere in the region of 30% for the App Store. That's the only comparison I have to go on as a fee. Maybe you could use Google's 50-55% fee of ad revenue. So this works out how much revenue the car will deliver to the owner. What we then have to consider next is the cost to operate the vehicle. As the vehicle will be doing more miles than normal, the tyres will wear quicker. What I've done here is basically said that a set of tyres will last for 25,000 miles, and that the price for a full set of tyres is around $1,350. In this example, it looks like a new set of tyres will be required around once every 6 weeks. The final piece of the puzzle is that the car will need to charge, and there will be a cost to the owner. I've put in a figure of 5 cents per mile for the charging cost. I remember reading somewhere that it's about $8 per 100 miles of charge. So my assumption is that that will go down over time with the adoption of EV as well as the infrastructure being built out over the next couple of years. So that is how the model works, and the first example that I came up with in my head. A Tesla operating full-time in the Robotaxi network for 20 hours of the 24 hours a day driving around, with those remaining 4 hours charging each day. So that's 600 miles of travelling, of which 360 of those miles will be with a paid customer. They'll be paying 50 cents a mile. So that's a daily revenue of $180. Take out the 30% cut for Tesla, that then leaves $126 for the owner. Then taking off the cost for tyres and charging, that would give a profit of somewhere in the region of $63 to $65 per day. This does not include the cost of the vehicle in these calculations just yet. All in all, if you achieve that for 360 days a year, then you would profit by nearly $22,900 a year. If we assume that the battery in the car will last 1 million miles, that would be 4 years worth of use, so that would profit $106,000. If we assume that the cost of a Model Y with FSD is $60,000, then over that 4-year period, that's $46,000 of profit, or $11,500 per year. Now, when building this and going through it, I then started to consider what the variables might be. and created a few scenarios. So firstly, is 30 miles per hour really realistic as a speed that they will travel at? Well, in this example, let's drop it down to only 20 miles per hour. But let's increase the cost to $1 per mile to the customer. Now, I think that's still reasonable, considering research shows that generally the price is closer to $2 a mile, but that's dependent on the area and what taxi firm you're with today. In this scenario, I'm going to drop Tesla's cut that they take down to 20%, as they don't want to be seen as a hindrance. They want to push towards and help the world move towards sustainable energy. Leaving everything else the same, that would work out to a profit each year of just over $54,000. Now imagine if you scaled this up and had 5, maybe 10 Teslas working for you in the Robotaxi network while you're asleep. That could potentially be an income of $250,000 to $500,000 right there. Nice little side hustle, that. The next and final scenario I want to go through was, what if you wanted to have the car as your own for a certain number of hours each day? For example, to take your kids to school, to take you to and from work, and also to let the family use to go to certain places. So let's assume you allow it to be in the Robotaxi network for 8 hours of the day. This example in the furthest right column shows that you could still get the use and value out of your Tesla when you need it, but would also be able to earn just shy of $20,000 a year when you're not using it. If this has been interesting, drop the video a like and subscribe to the channel. But until next time, stay safe.